Hey, Pretty Girl Club, welcome back to the social climbing series. I wanted to make a follow-up video on how to build our collective image as Exoticals because this channel has surpassed 30,000 subscribers. This channel is also getting a lot of views per month, so we are finally getting the spotlight that we deserve because we are the Pretty Girl Club, and so of course we're popular. But I want to talk more about how to build our collective image. So step one is going to be burning the cape for those who do not support your identity. So I hear a lot of unambiguous women talking about isms. You know, they talk about their experiences with colorism, texturism, and featureism. And for us MLS women, a lot of us have felt obligated to listen to their stories. A lot of us have spent years subscribing to their YouTube channels or, listening to them complain about how a lot of them don't like their hair or how they have bad dating experiences. But have you noticed that when it's our turn to talk about the struggles that we have faced, then suddenly a lot of women in the unambiguous HOTEP community, they don't want to listen to us? So step one of building our own collective image and community is by not caping for women who wouldn't cape for us. So the way that I view it is if you don't care about my experiences with colorism, then I don't care about yours. If you don't care about my identity, then I don't care about yours. If you do not stand up for me, then I will not stand up for you. If you do not validate my beauty, then I will not validate yours. So that's rule number one, and I think we've done an amazing job at that as Exoticals. I think we've done a great job at kind of staying in spaces where we are celebrated. And actually, that leads me to number two, way to build our collective image. It is to not allow jealous women to talk you out of going to places where you're celebrated. So let's say you're an MLS woman. Let's say you happen to date black men or you happen to date white men, or maybe you hang out in black spaces even though you are not dark skinned or unambiguously black passing. Well, guess what? A part of social climbing is staying in places where you have the privilege. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, go where you're celebrated, except when you're an exotical, though. Then you can't go where you're celebrated because if you happen to be celebrated by black people, then, it's a problem. But a part of building our collective image is we cannot be scared of what the unambiguous community thinks of us. I think that for a long time, a lot of privileged women have been shamed into silence because they want you to feel guilty for having privilege. They want you to feel guilty about being put on a pedestal, but it's like, you can't help how you were born. You cannot help that. You can't help if you got to receive money or opportunities because, maybe it was attached to some sort of invisible privilege that you didn't even know you had. That's not your fault. You did not create the isms. You didn't create colonialism. You're not responsible for other people's racism. And another thing you have to remember too is the same people who will shame you for benefiting from an ism, those women would benefit from isms too if they could. They benefit from capitalism because they get a paycheck. They benefit from lookism if they're an unambiguous black woman with pretty privilege. They benefit from all kinds of other isms. But notice how the anger only comes in when it's an ism that they don't benefit from. So a lot of the ism outrage is fake outrage, not to mention the fact that a lot of people in the black community support colorism because they will say things like, oh, well, you're not even light-skinned. Light-skinned compared to what? Compared to the paper bag test. Anybody who upholds the paper bag test in 2025, I don't want to hear you calling anybody else a colorist because you're literally using the paper bag test to invalidate someone's skin tone identity. If that's not colorism, I don't know what is. That's literally the definition of colorism, was holding up a paper bag to someone and then saying, oh, you're not welcome or you don't get to be a part of XYZ community because, you're too dark. So a lot of their outrage about colorism, texturism, and featureism is actually fake. So that's another thing that's going to help us in building our collective image is understanding the psychology of people in the HOTEP community and also being able to call out the hypocrisy when it comes to all this fake outrage that's going on. Okay, I think I'm on number three. Represent yourself. That is one of our biggest strengths as Exoticals. We've been doing a great job representing ourselves. One of the biggest social climbing mistakes that I've seen other groups of women making is they beg white Hollywood to represent them properly. They beg white men to validate them. They're begging other ethnicities basically to validate their beauty. They're begging other phenotypes to validate their phenotype. That's an external locus of control. So one of our biggest strengths as Exoticals is the fact that we have taken back our power. We created our own YouTube channels. We didn't wait around for all the big, unambiguous creators to shout us out. No, we're not waiting for somebody else to put us on over here in the Exotical space. We're not waiting to ride somebody else's coattails. We're not waiting to ride the coattails of other communities and hope that they give us a voice on the internet. We are standing up for ourselves, and we are taking our own power back by letting our voices be heard. So that has done a phenomenal job of building our collective image, because hundreds of thousands of people are listening to Exotical content. And I told you guys that I've actually received emails like offline. I've received emails from very big content creators who have told me, hey, I can't say anything publicly, but like I really support your content, Exoticals United. And I really think you're doing a great job. So we have a lot of hidden support that the unambiguous community doesn't even know about. So I think that part of the reason why some people are threatened is because we have done a really good job at branding ourselves. And it's also because we have valid talking points. And that leads me to number 4 of how we can keep building our collective image. It is to be well read, to be well researched, and to make sure that we always provide anecdotal evidence for our talking points. I mean, we're already really good at this. But if you look at a lot of the Exotical content creators, we have a lot of story. We can't all be lying about our story times. We can't be making everything up. So I think that part of what validates us is the fact that you've got all these different Exotical creators coming together. All of us are starting to get more and more bold, and we're starting to tell our stories even more. So that's building our collective image, because whoever's watching, like the men who are watching this channel, the women of other phenotypes who are watching this channel, they're looking at us and they're saying, oh, wow, like I never knew that their experience was like that. So we are basically taking back the power over our own image. Number 5, one of the ways that I build our image is I support women in the media who look like me. So women who have my phenotype. So that includes musicians. I'm very strategic with who I choose to give my attention to, because attention is currency. So I can't tell you, I don't know who the up and coming like unambiguous singers and rappers and actresses are. I don't know who they are. It's no shade against them, but I do know who a lot of the MLS up and coming singers and celebrities and rappers are, because I go out of my way to stream their music or to like listen to them. I will follow all of them on social media. I will follow women online. You know how they have the hair channels like on Instagram and TikTok and all that? I will follow accounts of women who represent my phenotype the most accurately. And by the way, let's think about what it means when people say collective image. Like, what does that even mean? What it means is the way people are stereotyping you in society as a whole. So what is the collective image of your phenotype in society, not just in the Black community, not just amongst unambiguous Black women, but what is your collective image in the world? How are you perceived by people in your everyday life? What stereotypes do you like being associated with? I don't mind being called stuck up. I don't mind being accused of having a superiority complex. I don't mind being accused of being a snob or thinking I'm better, because those are actually not negative stereotypes. Those aren't negative stereotypes, because all they're saying is you put yourself on a pedestal because of how you look. You put yourself on a pedestal because of your skin, your hair, your eyes, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, even though that may be perceived as negative to some people, that's actually not as bad as being perceived as being violent, being an actual criminal, you know what I mean? Being seen as dangerous. Like, have you ever heard some people say like, oh, this person is safe brown? So basically they're a safe complexion of brown skin. So what they're saying is that if a person has a dark brown skin tone, that they are stereotyped as being dangerous, or that's their collective image. So that's very bad. You know, obviously you don't want that to be your collective image. So I'm glad that in the Exotical space, we have done a good job of leaning into the stereotypes about us and basically saying we don't care that you think we're stuck up. We don't care if you think that we think we're superior, because that's technically going to help me more in this society versus being perceived as violent or I'm going to harm someone. And that leads me to number 5. You want to be able to curate controversy that basically builds you up. So the Exoticals United community, it is considered controversial for now. We are going to go mainstream just according to the projections on the analytics on my channel. This channel will be going mainstream within the next 10 years or so. But for now, we are considered controversial. And that's okay, because controversy helps you to social climb. Name one person, name one icon throughout history who has become famous without any controversy. Name one. I'll wait. Name one person who changed the world without any controversy. I'll wait. So the fact that we even have controversy surrounding our space and kind of surrounding our identity, that's actually a good sign, because we are getting people riled up. We're getting people talking. And that's number 6 on building our collective image. It's to keep people talking, because all publicity is good publicity. If you know how to alchemize and transmute that in your favor, then it's still going to be good publicity. Exoticals are very good at capturing people's attention. Attention is currency. In today's society, attention is currency, because companies will pay millions of dollars so they can advertise, so they can get people's attention, right? Women will get plastic surgeries. They will spend billions of dollars in the beauty industry just so they can get attention that us Exoticals already have. And so that's going to be one of our most powerful tools, is knowing how to keep the attention of others, and also knowing how to use even negative attention as a form of currency. So an example of doing that would be having a good, strong clapback. You guys know that I do have an attitude on here sometimes. I sound pretty snarky on here. And I'll never apologize for it, because I have the right to be snarky if I want to. I have the right to clap back. And so as Exoticals, we have to keep that clap back. We have to be able to clap back just as strongly as other people are trying to clap at us. Because a lot of Exoticals are scared of unambiguous Black women until now. Before the Exotical space became a thing, a lot of MLS women in real life and online have been scared to speak out about our experiences, because I've noticed that a lot of other women, they're scared of being called colorist. They're scared of being called racist or texturist. I'm not scared of any of that. Like, do you really think that I would have stayed on YouTube for this many years if I was scared of being called a name? So a lot of other communities, they have tried to use intimidation tactics and silencing tactics against us, because they want us to be scared. They want us to be scared of what Black people think. They want us to be scared of what white people think. And that's why they'll say things like, oh, your white side will never accept you. It's because they want us to be scared of white people. That's why they're saying that. They say, oh, well, your Indian side will never accept you because you're too dark. Or the biracials will never accept you because you're just a light-skinned Black woman. The biracial Black-white women, they'll never accept you because you're Blasian. So they're saying that because they want you to be scared of biracials. They want you to be scared of non-Black people. They want you to be scared of Black people. So those are all just fear-mongering tactics. And they're doing that because they don't want us to have control over our own self-perception. Number 6, way to build the Exotical pedestal and to build our collective image is to stop trying to be relatable. Okay, so I can't relate to the ism experience. I've never been told, oh, you're too dark for this, or like, you're dark skinned so you don't fit it. I've never been called dark skinned in my life. I've never been told I'm too dark or too brown or whatever in order to fit in, or been told that my hair is like too nappy, or, I've never had those traumas. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I had traumas that I didn't have so I can relate to some women who literally have PTSD. Did you know that they actually have a saying now? It's called Black fatigue. And if you go on TikTok, this is where unambiguous people are talking about how much it sucks to be Black. So they are viewing their own Blackness as a handicap. So much so to the point where they're saying, I'm exhausted by my own race. I'm exhausted by my own phenotype. I'm exhausted emotionally just because I exist in this body. So a lot of women, that is self-hatred being manifest in real life, by the way. If you literally hate your own experience and hate your own body that much, to the point where you are fatigued with your own identity, that is technically a form of self-hatred. So I think that one of the advantages we have in the exotical space is we're done trying to be relatable. We can't relate. I'm sorry. We haven't experienced colorism or texturism or featureism in the same way that unambiguous women have. So they told us for decades that we need to acknowledge our privilege. So that's exactly what we're doing with our exotical channels. We are acknowledging our privilege. And that leads me to number 7, which is to never apologize for how you were born. Never apologize for any advantages you may have been given, because, that's not your fault. So if you were treated better as a child, that's not your fault if your parents or whoever was biased in your favor. Because, by the way, there are a lot of articles that talk about how attractive children are often put into pageants, or they're put into modeling, or basically sometimes family members will push their attractive children to the forefront because they naturally believe in you more, because you already were born with a form of pretty privilege. We all know that to a lot of internalized colorists, their version of pretty privilege is based on isms. It's based on benefiting from isms. And that's why they will say to mixed race women, they'll be like, oh, you just look regular, or you just look black. Okay, so what they're saying is you don't benefit from featureism. So they're trying to put that person down, like she doesn't benefit from featureism, so therefore she's lower on a hierarchy. And if you happen to be the girl where people perceive you as being higher up on a hierarchy, you have every right to utilize that to your advantage. Because that's what privilege is. Everybody in this world is using their privileges to their advantage. If you were born in the United States and you are participating in capitalism, you are using your privilege. You're basking in your privilege. Because I hear a lot of people saying, oh, well, the exoticals, they're supporting isms. They're supporting, and it's like, okay, you support isms. You support capitalism. You support lookism if you buy makeup. So it's fake outrage. It's fake outrage because they want you to just feel guilty. And that's because they personally don't have access to that particular ism that they want to benefit from. And that leads me to the next point, number 8. And this is going to be controversial, but if you want to benefit from whatever the ism is, colorism, texturism, featureism, lookism, capitalism, you do not have to explain yourself to anybody. So let's say I want to benefit from capitalism, which means I would want to get rich. Okay, I don't have to explain to other people why I want to benefit from that. I don't have to explain that because we already know that the society we live in is unfair. We already know that we live in a place that's like very corrupt. So if other people don't have to explain themselves, I don't see celebrities explaining why they got plastic surgery. It's obvious why they get plastic surgery. It's so they can benefit from lookism, or so they can continue benefiting from lookism. Like maybe if they're aging and they do anti-aging stuff, okay, so they're benefiting from an ism, or they're trying to maintain that benefit, or they're trying to flaunt or engage in that benefit. And they don't have to explain it because they understand that the world is unfair. They know that society worships beauty. They know that society worships status. And so sometimes, depending on how you were born, sometimes your actual features are going to be perceived as a form of status in the eyes of some people. So, that's why some girls get modeling contracts and other girls don't. Well, it's because the modeling agency, they associated that girl's beauty with a version of status. They wanted to sign that woman to their agency because they know if we hire this model, she's going to give our agency more jobs. She's going to open up the doors for us to gain more attention. So everybody in this world is seeking after status, whether they admit it or not. And that leads me to the next one. I think I'm on number 9. Infiltrate other spaces. Yep, that's right. I said it. Infiltrate other spaces. Go ahead and blend into other spaces if you have any ambiguity. I mean, exoticals in general have some form of ambiguity. So you are able to easily go in and out of Black culture. Maybe you're easily able to go in and out of non-Black culture. Maybe you can flow in and out of being dark-skinned, in and out of being light-skinned. You guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, infiltrate other spaces become an op if necessary. And the reason that I call it infiltrating is because in a lot of cases, you're not going to be welcomed, especially if the space you're going into has a lot of jealous women or something. Okay, so just lie, just pretend. Just pretend like you can relate if necessary, lie when necessary, so you can infiltrate those spaces and take opportunities for yourself. And I know it sounds pretty ruthless, but it's like, okay, this is what other people are doing to you. The unambiguous community has essentially taken your voice from you on YouTube. They were speaking on your behalf for decades. They were pretending like they knew all of your dating experiences, saying that you only attract dusties, or that, you're going to turn into a baby mama or whatever. So it's like, okay, other people have infiltrated your identity. Other people have tried to infiltrate your phenotype, or they try to infiltrate exotical spaces so they can benefit off the content. That's part of why I put so much content behind a members page and a Patreon, because I understand that there are hundreds of people who are trying to infiltrate this space because they just want to spy or whatever. So it's like, okay, if you want to be an infiltrator, you're going to have to pay. But that's a dark psychology tactic. Infiltrate other spaces, pretend like you can relate to people if necessary. So you know what I'll do? Like if I just want to keep myself safe, or if I don't want to explain my privilege to anyone, if somebody comes up and they start complaining to me about isms, like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with colorism, texturism, featureism, I'm dealing with all these people who don't like me, I'm not going to start talking about how privileged I am, because that's not very smart. That's not good timing. So if I want to protect myself, I'm just going to pretend. I'll be like, oh yeah, girl, I go through the same thing. Oh yeah, I've dealt with it as well. People hate me too. Oh yeah, nobody likes me. Just lie. Just lie and pretend like you can relate if it's a means to an end. So one of the celebrities that I actually see doing this is Meg Thee Stallion. A lot of people are going to get mad and they're going to try to argue in the comment section, but I noticed that she definitely uses her fluid identity to flow in and out of unambiguous blackness so she can maintain her pedestal amongst unambiguous black women. Meg Thee Stallion's not an idiot. She knows damn well that the majority of unambiguous women do not look like her. So sometimes faking relatability, or trying to emphasize being relatable, sometimes that actually helps you to gain more of a pedestal. This is what light-skinned saviors are trying to do, but I feel like they do a bad job though, because if all you do is just repeat what unambiguous women say, unambiguous women will see right through that. But it's okay to use your relatability to your advantage. It's okay to flow in and out of other cultural spaces because it's not against the law. I mean, it's not wrong. For example, let's say you are white passing. Let's say you're a mixed race white passing girl and you want to wear braids. Okay, well, you have the right to wear braids. So yes, technically people are going to view you as infiltrating. They might view you as like a culture vulture. Okay, but you still have the right to celebrate every aspect of your heritage. Not to mention the fact that nobody can control your beauty. So yes, I'm telling you to infiltrate other spaces. Yes, I'm telling you to hop in and out of whatever cultural space you want to. Oh, well, you're being black when it's convenient. First of all, when is it convenient to be black and when is it inconvenient to be black? Point fingers and name names. Have you ever noticed that anybody who says that, they can never explain what it actually means? So that's how I know that they're just gaslighting. They're just mad that you are multicultural. They're mad that you look multiracial. They're mad that you can pull off the lace front. They're mad that you can pull it off and it looks effortless on you because it goes along. Maybe you actually look like your family members when you put on a lace front. Maybe your mom actually has straight hair naturally. So when you put on straight hair, it looks effortless versus somebody else who looks like, they just put on a lace front. So that's a dark psychology tactic that a lot of exoticals are subconsciously using. Have you ever seen those biracial or mixed race women go to these black pageants, or they go to these HBCUs? Well, yeah, there's no rule that says if you want to go to an HBCU, you must be 100% pure African and dark skinned. There's no rule against that. So you want to find as many loopholes as possible as an exotical. Find all the loopholes in the black communities and the non-black communities. Find their social loopholes and weasel your way in. Work your way in there. If there is something that you can benefit from in that community, then benefit from it. because other people are benefiting off of your image. Other people sure are benefiting off of putting you at the forefront of blackness. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to be a representation of blackness, guess what? I'm going to be a model then. I'm going to be an influencer then in black spaces. I'm going to be a rapper. You see a lot of Exoticals doing this. They will utilize their proximity to blackness to build something for themselves at the hands of the black community. Or they'll do it with the white community or the Hispanic community. So because you already are kind of in the middle, you're in between unambiguous blackness and racial ambiguity, because you're kind of in between, you can play that to your advantage. So yes, be an infiltrator in other spaces. If you think that's harsh, go look up the 48 laws of power. This is one of the 48 laws of power. So it's hilarious how nobody says anything when a white person does this. Nobody says anything if a white person wants to use the 48 laws of power, but suddenly as women of color, we can't utilize the same mindset. We can't utilize the same strategy. No, they're gaslighting. And that leads me to number 10. Do not allow underprivileged people of any ethnicity to gaslight you out of your privilege. Because that's the only way they'll be happy. The only way that they'll be happy is if you hate yourself, if you don't think you're pretty, if you are poor, if you're never happy a day in your life, because some people are just mad at your existence. They're mad that you exist. They don't want you to thrive. So that's the only way they'll be happy is if you suffer. Because they have this mindset where it's like, I suffered, so you have to suffer. I suffered because of my skin tone, so now I want you to suffer because of your skin tone. I suffered because I didn't feel like I was mixed enough, so now I want you to feel like you're not mixed enough. That's a manipulation tactic. Number 11 is to lie if you need to. Okay, so if there's anything where you feel like you have to protect yourself, if you know that people are going to try to either expose you or, dox you or invade your privacy, or if you don't trust somebody, lie. So when they say, oh, what's your beauty routine? How did you get so skinny? I'm never telling somebody that I don't trust. I'm not telling them all of my beauty secrets, everything that I do, all of the emails that I send or how I get all these connections, how I get into these exclusive parties or whatever. No, I'm not just going to freely give out that information like I'm a freaking charity, because that's how a lot of people treat you as a privileged person. They feel like you need to do social charity work. So it's like, oh, because you're privileged, because you are dating an NFL player or something, you need to make tutorials on how you do that. You need to tell us how to level up. Oh, because you have long hair, you need to tell me how to grow my hair. Because you're in shape, you need to tell me how you got in shape. Have you ever noticed that people who feel less privileged than you, they're constantly pulling at your energy? They want you to give back to them. And it's like, no, I'm following rule number 1 of building the collective image of Exoticals, which is I only support those who support me. So if it's not an even exchange, I'm not doing charity work. I get to choose who I want to be charitable towards. So I practice selective empathy. If you don't have empathy towards me, if you're just demanding that I explain my beauty to you, well, how did you even get your hair that long? Is that your real hair? Did you texturize your hair? Did you perm your hair? Okay, if somebody is coming at me in a combative way or they're kind of demanding answers, that's how I know that that person doesn't have my best interest at heart. So I'm not going to answer any questions. So lie. Lie about whatever you feel you need to lie about in order to protect yourself. Never tell random people your business. Don't tell women that you don't trust. Don't tell them your business. Don't tell them how you leveled up. Never give out every piece of the puzzle. You always want to have some sort of mystery. It's okay to keep secrets. So if you have this secret skincare routine that got rid of your acne or something, you don't have to share that with other people. You're not obligated to do that. No, you are not a dermatologist's office. Have you ever noticed that people want us to be their PR? They want us to be their marketing team. They want us to be their beauty gurus. Like, oh, we have to teach them how to date, how to have proper hygiene, how to level up. And it's like, no, if we are going to do that, we can charge money. And that leads me to number 12. Charge money for your secrets. Never give out your secrets for free. If somebody is that, obsessed with your hair, start a hair channel, start a hair page, and then make a members page, make a Patreon. And the Exoticals are doing a great job at this, by the way. But it's like, if people are obsessed with any aspect of yourself, learn how to monetize that. So if they're obsessed with your beauty, if people are constantly questioning, how does she do her makeup like that? How does she do her hair like that? How does she look so good? That means that you have a gift. You have a gift in that area. So use that gift to make money. Like when it comes to me, I'm always going to be selling my knowledge. I'm not just going to be giving out all this shit for free. Hell no. Because it takes time, energy, and effort to level up. It takes effort in order to look good. It takes effort for you to be who you are, even if you do have some privileges. It still took some effort. So you don't owe anybody the truth. And by the way, this is not a religious channel. So if I see any comments like, oh, well, that's immoral, you're a bad person. Okay, well, you shouldn't be on this channel because this is a rebellious type of channel. This channel talks about dark psychology, dark femininity. By the way, I do have a 5-week course on dark femininity / dark psychology. So if you're interested in that, that's in the description. But I'm not going to give everybody my authenticity or my transparency because I don't owe that to everybody. Have you ever noticed that when you're the privileged person, everybody wants your attention? Everybody wants the pretty girl's attention. Everybody wants the girl with the long curly hair. Everybody wants her attention. And that's because your attention is viewed as more valuable. So Exoticals, you don't owe anybody your transparency. You don't owe anybody access to your privacy. Your beauty routine is a private matter. Your background, your family background, how you do your hair and all that, that's a private matter. You don't have to share that if you don't want to. So yes, you have every right to lie if necessary in order to protect yourself. And just let them wonder. Just let them think they have exposed you. Let them think they know everything. And then just watch them struggle. Have you ever done that? Because I know that when it comes to hairstyling, I've had women be obsessed with my hair before, and they'll be like, how would she get her hair like that? Like, how does it look different every single time? And instead of them just asking me, they'll try to come with like this accusatory tone, like, well, how did you even do that? Or like, you're just trying to look cute. Or where do you get your hair extensions from? What kind of hairstyles are you wearing? What kind of clip-ins are you wearing? I'll never tell. Not if I don't trust a bitch. Sure won't. Because why should I give you free level up information? You're going to be over here selling out. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that if there's one pretty Exotical that shares a beauty tip, suddenly all of that hair conditioner will sell out, or, whatever wig that woman is buying will sell out? And it's like, no, I don't want our secret beauty information to start being spread like wildfire. It's just being spread all throughout other communities. And I find it interesting that people will call us culture vultures. Meanwhile, they'll be literally watching you and spying on you because they're trying to see like, okay, what is her lore? Like, how is she so amazing? Where does she get this charisma from? Where does she get this beauty from? How can I try to siphon that off for myself? And it's like, no, if I want to gatekeep, I can gatekeep. So that's my next point, is to gatekeep. If you feel that it's necessary to gatekeep, you have every right to do that. So starting a members page, that's a form of gatekeeping. Starting a Patreon, that's a form of gatekeeping. Building your own online course, that's a form of gatekeeping. Choosing selective authenticity, that's another form of gatekeeping, because you're saying, hey, the public can see this much of my life, but they can't see my personal life. Oh, by the way, I never talk about dating or money with women who perceive themselves as being underprivileged. I never talk about those topics, ever. Because, a lot of people who are struggling, if they're in survival mode, they're going to have more of a crabs in a bucket mentality. So yeah, like if somebody's struggling with money, I'm not going to tell them, oh, I made 10K off my YouTube channel, or I made 10K off of this. I'm making thousands of dollars per month off of my online presence. No, I'm not going to say that. Because number one, that's triggering. And also, I don't want a whole bunch of people trying to give me the spotlight all the time, because as Exoticals, you guys already know that we are constantly under a microscope. And I told you guys that being privileged is kind of like being a celebrity. Okay, so you're kind of like this small time celebrity. If you have any form of privilege, pretty privilege, light skin privilege, Texturism privilege, featureism privilege. It's kind of like being a celebrity. So that means that people, they're going to be kind of spying on you. They're going to be wanting to know more about your personal life because you're more interesting to them. They're curious, like, what is it like to have long curly hair? What is it like to not have 4C hair? What is it like to benefit from featureism? What is it like to have people fawning over your eye color, over your freckles, over your nose, or how your bone structure is? What is it like to have people fawning over you so much? A lot of people would love to get the inside scoop on the Exoticals. And so that's why I say that I support the concept of gatekeeping when necessary. And I'm not saying you have to gatekeep from everybody. I'm not saying you have to lie to everybody or whatever, because everybody's not your enemy. But if you're in a space where you know that it's not a safe space, yeah, if I'm not in a safe space, then I'm not going to tell any of my secrets. I think I'm on number 12. Use your ambiguity to your advantage. So you have every right to explore your own beauty. So exploring your beauty, what that means is I have the right to experiment with my beauty. I have the right to test out different hairstyles or different makeup looks or whatever, different beauty enhancements. I have the right to explore my beauty and my ambiguity just like anybody else. So I see a lot of unambiguous monoracial women of Black descent, of white descent. I see women of every other group exploring their ambiguity. I see white women dyeing their hair black and kind of like crimping it so it has more texture, trying to make it look more coarse. So I see white women exploring their own ambiguity or seeing if they have any, kind of testing it out. Like, okay, will I look ambiguous if I do this hairstyle, or if I do these different contacts or whatever, or lipstick? Will that make me look ambiguous if I do lip fillers? So it's like, okay, every other group of women is exploring their ambiguity while being monoracial and monocultural. So why is it that suddenly Exoticals can't do the same thing? Like, no, you have every right to explore your ambiguity in whatever way you see fit. So if having thicker eyebrows makes you look more adjacent to the Arab community, or I don't know, it does something to where you look more ambiguous now, you have the right to test that out if you want to. So test out your different types of privileges. You want to test out, okay, what does it look like? How do I get treated when I wear more makeup versus less makeup? We talk about the psychology of this over on the Patreon, by the way. So be sure to subscribe to that if you're interested in the psychology behind different makeup looks, because there is going to be a different perception if you have vampy makeup, kind of the video vixen makeup. Think of like Meg Thee Stallion, very glam, versus like a natural no makeup look. So you have the right to explore the psychology behind your own beauty. You have the right to manipulate other people's perceptions of you. Yeah, that's right. I'm telling you to manipulate. Perception, playing with how you're perceived, that is technically a form of manipulation. It is. Society as a whole is very manipulative. Anytime a person rides around town in a fancy car, technically they are manipulating your perception of them because they want you to perceive them as being wealthy, even if they're not. A lot of people are paying really high car payments, so they're in debt. So they don't even own that nice BMW. The bank actually owns that car. They don't even own that house. The house is not paid off. The bank actually owns that house. So a lot of people in society, they're already manipulating anyway. They're manipulating your perception of them. So many celebrities are nowhere near as wealthy as you think. I actually just found out that this reality star, there are a lot of reality TV show stars who don't make nearly as much money as what you think. There are a lot of people who are famous, but they're actually pretty broke, but they're manipulating your perception of them because, they have fame. So maybe they're posing on a set and then posting Instagram photos and stuff. So it's like, okay, everybody in every other field is technically utilizing manipulation to their advantage. When you go into a job interview and you say that you can see yourself working at that company for 10 years, you know damn well that's a lie. That's a lie. You don't want to work at the company for 10 years. No, you're not passionate about being an administrative assistant. That's a lie. But you're using manipulation to your advantage so you can get what you want. So you want to use like your ambiguity to your advantage. So stay mysterious. when it comes to your beauty enhancements, surgeries, your dating life, your before and after. Let people guess. Like anytime you look pretty, you know how sometimes a girl looks really pretty and then people are like, oh, it's just a filter or it's AI or it's makeup. Okay, just let them guess. Because fame and status thrives on speculation. The more speculation there is about you, the more mysterious you are. It's basically like a form of social power because you are the topic of conversation. People are asking themselves, is that her real body? Is that her real butt? Is that her real boobs? Is that her real abs? Or is she on Ozempic? Or did she get liposuction? Did she get a tummy tuck? You're still the topic of conversation. So you're getting more people to look at you. You're getting more of a spotlight, even if that spotlight came from something negative. Look at all the MLS celebrities who became more famous because people called them colorists. So it's okay for people to gossip about you. Let them gossip. Let people talk. Let people make up things about you, and then you get to surprise people because if somebody really gets to know you, then they'll figure out like, oh wow, she really is a sweet person. Oh wow, she really is authentic. So just let people talk. Let people start rumors. Do you know how many rumors there are about like Beyonce? Do you know how many rumors there are about the average celebrity or influencer? So that's a normal part of being in the spotlight. It's just another day being that bitch. But I think I am on number 13. Monetize the male gaze without submitting to it. Okay, so you can still be provided for or spoiled, etc., without centering men. So part of the reason why people say it's extreme to decenter men is because for them, if they decenter men, they would feel invisible. But we have the exact opposite problem in the exotical space. We are hyper visible. We are too visible. We get too much male attention to the point where we don't want it. We need to weed some of it out. So even with decentering men, men are still going to try to talk to. I still have male supporters on my channel to this day. Even with all my decentering men content, I still have male supporters. I still have men who donate money to my channel. They're supporting the Patreon or maybe they're supporting the members page. So decentering men, it doesn't mean that you cannot ever benefit off of the male gaze or that you can't benefit off of men financially supporting you. That's not what it means. Those women who say that are more of a femcel. I would say that's more femcel adjacent, like those talking points. But yeah, so that's another dark psychology tactic that we can use to build our collective image. We're very good at doing that already. Monetizing the male gaze without submitting to it. So you can play into being hyper feminine. You can play into that flirty side. You don't have to flirt with men personally, but sometimes you can just look flirty. Like by the clothes you're wearing, by the facial expression you're making on your photos or something like that. One of the best qualities about Exoticals is that we are not desperate for male approval. We don't make videos getting mad because white men didn't pick us on a dating app or, complaining like, oh, nobody wants me or like I wasn't the love interest in this movie. Why didn't you cast a woman of my phenotype to be the love interest next to this guy? No, we're not desperate like that. We're not desperate to be seen next to a man. And that's actually a part of our lore. That's a part of what gives us that sense of confidence. It's the internal locus of control. Number 14, do not be approachable. Okay, so I don't care. Like I said earlier, I don't care if people think I'm stuck up. I'm not approachable. So no, you can't just walk up to me and talk crazy. No, you can't just walk up to me and expect me to respond. No, you're not. I don't owe you a response. A lot of people, they try to tag me on YouTube and stuff. I told you guys, I turned off my mentions and tags months ago because I don't owe anybody my attention. I don't owe anyone a response because I'm no longer approachable. I'm starting to become too big of a YouTuber to be approachable to everybody at this point. So one of the advantages of Exoticals and one of the ways we can build our collective image is to carry that energy in real life. It's to not be approachable. You know the basic Betties at work that try to send emails about you because they want to emotionally dysregulate you? That's their goal. They want to shake your confidence. They want to emotionally destabilize you. That's why they're sending the emails and CCing you and CCing your boss and CCing everybody else because their goal is to emotionally destabilize you. Never give them the satisfaction of being emotionally destabilized in their presence. If you want to cry, you can go cry to HR or get them fired somehow, or you can go cry at home, or you can just ghost the job. But you never want to allow someone to feel like they have emotional power over you, because a lot of people, they want to emotionally control us. They want us to beg for their validation. They want us to feel like we have to beg for a black card. Bitch, I don't have to beg for a black card. If I want to go to an HBCU right now and go to a tailgate party, I can. If I want to wear an African print t-shirt, I can. If I want to keep my hair in braids, I can. So a lot of people, they want you to beg them for permission to do something. And it's like, you don't have to do that. Part of taking back our power is by no longer asking for permission to create YouTube channels. I don't have to wait for your permission to create a YouTube channel. Also, you're not going to bully me into silence. I will continue talking my shit. I will continue being the pretty girl. I will continue having my privilege. Number 15, transmute and alchemize hate. So one of the ways that I've done that on this channel is, instead of allowing haters to get to me, I created a whole comment foolery exposed series. One of the ways that we have taken back our power as Exoticals is we have a whole story time series now. So anytime somebody does us wrong, there's going to be a story in front of tens of thousands of people about the crazy person that decided to mess with an Exotical. That is transmutation. That is alchemy. And this is also why I tell you guys to start your own channels, because I want you guys to be the ones making money before this goes mainstream. When this goes mainstream, everybody's going to be hopping on the Exotical bandwagon. I mean, even to this day, we've got unambiguous women changing their talking points and backtracking so they can align more so with the Exotical space. So that's why I try to tell you guys in the Pretty Girl Club to make your own channels, because you are the best representation of yourself. Remember, there is no standard stereotypical Exotical. We've already taken back the word successfully. We've already rebranded the word successfully. And this channel unites all of us, across different skin tones and hair textures and stuff. So we don't need other people's approval. We don't need other people's permission. And this channel is not for women who are insecure in their identity as an Exotical. This channel is for women who embrace who they are. And they don't need other people to validate whether or not they're a quote-unquote Exotical, because they know who they are. They know their experiences. And that leads me to number 17, never apologize or over-explain. Because one of the dark psychology tactics that I always use is I don't justify anything. I don't have to apologize for anything. I don't have to justify anything if I don't want to. The way that I show up is basically, hey, this is what I have to say, take it or leave it. If you don't like the channel, unsubscribe, do not view my channel ever again, goodbye, and you won't be missed. That's the energy that I bring on this YouTube channel, and I try to bring that energy in real life too. I'm just going to hang out with those who like hanging out with me. Have you ever been at work and people try to leave you out of the friend group? Bitch, I'll get another friend group. Or I'll get a whole other job. Or I will create an online community and have friends on the internet. I love having Exotical friends on the internet, by the way. I love talking to you guys in the Discord. Be sure to join the Patreon or members page, because then you'll get access to the Discord and you will have hundreds of other Exotical friends that you can talk shit with. Number 18 is to gain attention at all costs. Okay, so I'm not saying you have to compromise your morals or whatever, or be something you're not, but generally speaking, you want to continue to get that attention. So it could be a controversial opinion that you have. It could be being more bold with your looks and your aesthetic. This is a part of why a lot of women who wear red lipstick to work, you're viewed as controversial. Why? Well, it's because your actual aesthetic is seen as bold and daring. But that's a power play, though. That's actually a dark psychology tactic. So you're using boldness, you're using kind of this provocative nature, or you're manipulating other people's perception so you can get the attention you want. You can get that spotlight. You can get eyes on your brand. You can get the eyes on you. And by the way, if you are one of those people who wants to monetize attention, number one is you can't be ashamed of wanting attention. There is nothing wrong with wanting attention Everybody is seeking attention in one way or another. Everybody wants attention. Oh, well, Exoticals United, you just want to be put on a pedestal. You just want to be validated. You just want people to think you're the shit. Yes, yes, and yes. That's correct. And I'm succeeding at it. So now what? I'm never going to be ashamed for having all eyes on me. So when it comes to your pretty privilege, when it comes to like building our collective image, I like the fact that exoticals are like dancing on TikTok or like, we have gotten into every space. We are dominating in the music industry, in the film industry, now in the line dance industry. We're in the fashion and modeling industries. So we are doing whatever it takes to get that attention. I will never shame an exotical for the strategy she uses to get attention. You know how some people, they tried to talk shit about my channel? They're like, oh, you're using Ice Spice or you're using female rappers. Those women are ratchet. Those women use their ass shaking in order to get attention. Okay, and just because I wouldn't do that, just because I don't want to be a rapper, it doesn't mean that they are invalid. So if their dream is to be a rapper, they have every right to utilize whatever is going to help them go viral, make money, because that's a part of how society works. Society is not built on morals or authenticity, because I also hear people shaming women who wear makeup or wigs or they get surgeries or whatever. They'll be like, oh, well, she's not even that pretty. She's wearing a weave. And it's like, okay, well, since when does society worship natural hair? You say it yourself that society doesn't worship natural hair or natural beauty, no matter what ethnicity you are. So all these women are doing is they're playing the game. They're playing the game of social climbing and they're winning. Number 17, it is okay to recreate yourself. That's another way we can continue building our collective image. It's by embracing that fluid identity. The exoticals do a really good job of keeping people on their toes. A lot of us are creating our own separate YouTube videos. We're all talking about different topics. That is a part of what draws people in because it's not going to be the same old shit like how it is in other niches on YouTube. So a lot of us are very good at rebranding ourselves, recreating ourselves, kind of like evolving and keeping our audience on the edge of their seat. So in the exotical community, we know how to transform. A lot of us exoticals are really good at having a glow up. By the way, never be ashamed of your glow up. Never be ashamed of where you came from. So let's say you used to be fat and now you're skinny. Don't be ashamed of people showing your fat pictures. Because if anything, they're just proving how good you are at meeting your goals. So if somebody is trying to give you a gaslighting talking point, like, oh, you changed. You're not who you used to be. You're a sellout. Okay, they're only saying that because you were successful. You were successful when you changed. That person wants your results. Has anyone else ever noticed that? All the haters of the exotical space, they want the results that the exoticals have. So it's like you're talking crap about how we look or our dating lives, but you sure would trade lives with us if you could. In a lot of cases, you sure would trade hair textures if you could. You sure would trade features if you could. You would trade privileges if you could. I am convinced that if plastic surgery and all that were not scrutinized, I'm convinced that the majority of women would be getting it. I'm convinced. Because a lot of people, for a lot of level down women, the only thing that's stopping them from leveling up is shame. So they have been shamed by their toxic mothers for being feminine. They've been shamed for wearing makeup, or they've been shamed for thriving and basking in attention. That's another thing too. People will be like, oh, the exoticals are basking in their attention. They're basking in their pedestal. Yes, yes, and yes. That's correct. And who gonna check me? You're damn right. I enjoy every view that I get on this YouTube channel. I enjoy every Patreon subscriber. I enjoy every smile that I get in the grocery store. I enjoy every compliment I receive. Every perk I receive, every free item I receive, every email, every positive comment. Hell yeah, I eat that shit up. I eat that shit for breakfast. I actually will screenshot the positive comments that people leave on this channel, and sometimes I'll go back and look at them. Oh, well, you're just basking in attention. Hell yeah, you're damn right. And I love doing it, and I'll never stop doing it. I love waking up in the morning and thinking about how many people love and adore me. Yeah, I sure do. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to focus on the people that hate me? Am I supposed to be replaying negative thoughts in my mind? So a lot of these women, they expose themselves. It's like, sis, what are you thinking about on a daily basis? Oh, well, you're just basking in the attention. You're enjoying all of this attention you're getting. Well, duh. Like, what are you doing? Are you ruminating on being invisible? Are you thinking about how much everyone hates you? Like, these women are exposing the fact that they essentially focus on their negative social experiences. So it's like, yes, of course I'm going to enjoy being loved. Of course I'm going to enjoy being celebrated. Yes, I enjoy being validated. And that's another thing too. This channel will always be a source of validation for the Exoticals. And that's another part of building our collective image. It's validating each other. The Exoticals are very good at validating one another's talking points. We're very good at validating each other's identities. Because I told you guys, I don't identity police on this channel. I don't really care how you're an Exotical. I don't care if you're a light-skinned Exotical, if you're a dark-skinned Exotical. I don't care if you're a black Exotical, a biracial Exotical. I don't care what makes you an Exotical. What I care about is us being unified and coming together and finally having a voice and speaking up for ourselves and maintaining our pedestal. Yeah, I said it. I said what I said. Our pedestal is not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere. Our beauty is not going anywhere. And by the way, number 19, utilize the positive qualities of your enemies. That is something that a lot of women will never be able to do, but I love doing that. I love stealing the positive qualities of my enemies. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I study my enemies. So if somebody is, let's say somebody doesn't like me on YouTube, I will actually go watch that person's YouTube channel and be like, okay, what is she good at? Okay, she's good at A, B, and C. Let me steal those positive qualities that she has for myself. Let me alchemize that exact same personality trait and develop that in myself. And not only is that going to make her even more mad, but it's actually helping me to become better. Remember, your enemies and your haters sharpen you. They're challenging you. They're making you level up even more. So if somebody's at work, if they're talking about your fashion sense, like, oh, her dresses look bad or her makeup looks bad. Okay, all they're doing is telling you how to level up. All they're doing is telling you their level up strategy. What they're saying is, if I were you, I would have dressed better. If I were you, I would have done my makeup better. So they're actually exposing another level up strategy that you can use to your advantage. I tell people all the time, if you don't like me, you're better off just pretending like you do like and support me. Because if you come on my channel, let's say somebody starts critiquing me or something, all that's going to do is make me an even better content creator. Every critique that I've ever received on this channel has actually helped me to become a better creator. Every single one. Number 20, flex. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Flex on others. Utilize your phenotype as a flex. Use your beauty as a flex, money as a flex, education as a flex. Everybody's flexing one thing or another. Most people try to flex their morals, like, oh, well, I'm a good person. I'm the most deep person. You're just a shallow woman who cares about beauty. Okay, that person is trying to flex their morals. So they're still flexing, even though they're pretending they're not. They still are. Number 21, ways to increase our collective image. Ghost people. Yeah, that's right, ghost people. Block them. Anybody who breaks your boundaries, get them out of your life. Because remember, we're supposed to be going where we're celebrated, right? So instead of us trying to be celebrated by the unambiguous Black female community on YouTube, we just ghosted that community on YouTube and said, okay, we're just going to build our own community. We're going to represent ourselves online. So ghosting, that actually helps you to social climb. I told you guys I've ghosted jobs before. I've ghosted relationships before. I've ghosted friendships before, and I'm not ashamed of it, because if I have to ghost you, that means that something really bad happened. That, like, I have a valid reason to ghost a person. And a lot of people, they get mad when you ghost them because they feel rejected, but it's like, okay, your emotions, that's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to fix you. It's not my responsibility to be considerate towards you when you haven't been considerate towards me. Like, when it comes to jobs, putting in a 2 weeks notice, that's actually a courtesy. That's a courtesy. And by the way, if you're doing that with a job, all you have to do is get a friend or family member to be your reference. Just say, oh, well, this is my manager or whatever, just list their phone number, and then you can just get another job. Because if that job was going to leave you a bad reference, you couldn't use them as a reference anyway. So why do you need to put in the 2 weeks notice? Did they put in a 2 weeks notice before they screwed you over? Did your friend who was mean to you, did she explain to you why she was going to backstab you? No, she didn't. So it's like, I don't have to explain myself either. I get to ghost people when necessary. Number 21, how we can build our collective image is to maintain our visibility. Okay, so fame is just a lifestyle of visibility. So you're showing up every day on your YouTube channel. You're showing up on your Patreon, showing up on your members page. You're showing up at work. You're trying out those new makeup looks. I told you guys that when I was at work, when I used to work 9 to 5s, I would experiment with my beauty all the time. Because I was like, this is just a job, so it's not that important. So this is a good time to experiment with my aesthetic, just to see how I'm perceived or like how people treat me. I want to see if I get treated differently with brown hair versus black hair. And by the way, every time you change your aesthetic, that's a form of becoming more visible, because people are like, oh, wait, who's that? Oh, it's Sarah. Oh, wow, she changed her hair. You know how some black women are like scared to change their hair because they think they have too much attention? Yeah, they're scared of visibility. That's what it is. Because every time you change your hair, especially if you do it drastically, you are drastically increasing your visibility temporarily. Because people are shocked. You're giving people the shock factor. But as Exoticals, we have been raised with visibility. A lot of us are used to being visible. We're used to having a spotlight on us. We're used to having a microscope on us. So being in the public eye and all that, it's not as big of a deal for us. So we are not as scared to drastically change our hair, for example, because we already have people, questioning our hair or speculating or being curious about us in general. That's a part of fame. That's a part of visibility. Is you're going to have good reviews of who you are. Then you're going to have critics. You're going to have people trying to expose you. All of those things are a part of the social dynamics of visibility. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.